Hi guys, hopefully this is all okay. OBS had absolutely ruined my layout for some reason, so if there's anything missing, oh yeah, I'm getting delay. 1 second. Who we've got here? Hi Colt, hi Yaroslav, hi Hayes, hi Andy, hi Steps, if I missed, and Foray as well. Hi guys. I thought we'd start by taking a look at very quickly this effect that was posted in Discord today. Gotta get on my screen, so it's really annoying. I don't know if there's a way to save out profiles in OBS to restore this stuff, but I'll have to have a look into it in more detail at some point. So I'll quickly run this effect. I'll show you why it interested me. I just never thought to do this before. I'm just gonna top my wine up. I've got wine today because I'm not at work tomorrow. I've only got one bottle there. So this effect, it's drawing character data in the borders. This isn't sprites, this is actual character data in the border. I think it's quite an interesting effect, so I thought I'd just quickly explain what's going on. So it's probably easier if I show you in the debugger actually. You'll notice you can see it in the top right, but you can't see anything in this. And it's because it's all in the borders. So what's happening is you see there's no all the sprites are the same. There's nothing going on with the sprites. They're all disabled except one. This one sprite has been used to stabilize the raster, which is something we'll go over maybe in a future stream. And what stabilizing a raster does, it lets you pinpoint exactly on the screen where the raster is to the nearest cycle. And so what they're doing is when it gets, they're opening the borders as we'd explained in was it Armalite? I think I explained that. And then when you open the borders, the border kind of where the character should be gets filled with the data that lives in the top address in your Vic bank, which in this case is 3FFF. Let me get to that. Oh, God damn it. You know, I've used this so much and I still cannot remember the shortcuts. There we go. So it's this character here, this line. It's just one single line of a character, and all it's doing is it's filling every 4 cycles. So 4 cycles, one character on the screen is 1 cycle. It takes 4 cycles to store a value into an address. And all it's doing is it's alternating between 2 values on each line and just drawing. Yeah, I'm not sure actually, Hayes. I don't think it is. Maybe I'll get some theme with a huge mouse pointer at some point. Yeah, so every single line there's a very cycle exact routine which is storing the values from the font into these addresses. But on mouse trails, how do I do that? Mouse trails. Don't just give me the mouse trails. Don't. Yeah, there we go. Wow, is this all we get now? Mouse. Yep, I have no idea how to do that at this moment in time. Oh, additional mouse options. There we go. Pointers, pointer options. Yeah. There we go. So yeah, that's all it's doing. It's a very, very simple effect. If we look at the code, actually, you can see how it's doing it. So all of this is just to make the wobble. This is the actual loop that's doing the work, and so every frame it's just taking 2 bits of the character set, and it's just alternating them in that location, that 3FFF. And so this is like the first block, second block, and so on. And because the rasters cycle perfect, you get this effect where it's actually filling in 4 characters at a time. It takes 4 cycles to run this line, so it's filling in exactly 4 cycles, and you get this. And I mean, if we turn off this line, we'll stop the wobble, and you'll be able to see it a bit clearer. Because it's cycle exact, if I take a command out, I've got to replace it with the exact same number of cycles. So yeah, so basically, yeah, instead of clear, so usually when people open the borders, they blank this character out, so you can't see anything here. But what they're doing very cleverly is actually putting character data in there, line by line, and then animating it simply. But so when the routine's over, they're doing some shifting to shift the data, and that's it. It's a very cool effect. I'd like to see this used. I think I was talking with Monsters in Discord, saying it'd be nice to have like a parallax effect that extends down into the border as well. You could have some kind of water effect going on here. Very cool. The limitations obviously are you can only draw blocks of 4 characters. So whatever character you put here will be copied for 4 characters. And it can only ever be black as well, because there's no colour RAM here, so it just defaults to black. But yeah, very cool. I thought we'd show that. Okay, so let's get down to business. Let's get down to Continental Circus. Now, I've got to confess, I've never played this game. I've seen a lot of it, but I've never played it. So, and I don't expect to play it because we're going to run it in the debugger. So, let's get it loaded in. So I don't know what to expect at all, and I know. One thing I do know is that these games that use Raster Roads do so in lots and lots of different ways. Oh wow, look how slow that's loading. So I can speed that up. While that's loading, I'm going to quickly show you roughly how these work. I think I put it in here. Oops. Also, I can't hear any of the sound effects. Yeah, I haven't played enough races on the Commodore. I did play, what was it, Lotus Esprit Turbo Challenge and Turbo Outrun quite a lot. But I felt I was looking at Continental Circus and I thought it was probably going to be a bit simpler to look at. So, hi Sinlau, welcome to the stream. Oh, and hi Dr. Miz as well, I didn't see you come in. It's a Thursday night stream, but there is wine on tap. Well, not on tap, but in a bottle. I've gone for the nice Casillero del Diablo again. I've got no work tomorrow. So the way these work is, yeah, let's have a look at this image. So if you imagine a road viewed directly from above, these 2 red lines would be parallel, and then to make it 3D, basically as you tilt the road, these lines kind of converge towards the vanishing point on the horizon. And so what that means is, if you imagine slicing the road horizontally into slices, each slice would get progressively thinner and thinner. You know, the red lines would get closer together, but also the slices would get thinner vertically as well, which is what you see. It's what you see here. These bands are getting smaller and smaller. So it's a very, very simple effect to achieve because it doesn't need real 3D. So it's called a Raster Road because generally it's drawn line by line. The way I've done it so I've done a few engines like this. The last one I did was in maybe about 6 or 7 years ago in JavaScript. using just canvas operations, and the way that worked was it just drew lines from the bottom of the screen. Started at the bottom, just worked its way up, grabbing lines from a texture and just drawing them to the screen at slightly different X positions. So it's quite a simple thing to do, and you know, a curve can just be you just shift things on the X-axis. To make a hill, you just stretch things, stretch or compress things vertically, and you can even make kind of dips and hills that, you know, hills that disappear in front of you and then reappear a little bit more in the distance, and that's really easy to achieve as well. No, I didn't. This was for a project at work. It wasn't open source, but it was similar. I've seen the one on GitHub. I have seen it. It was similar. It had lots of hills and sprites on the side. So yeah, the roadside objects are generally just images that you rasterize as you get to them. You just draw each line as you go up the screen. Sometimes you can just draw the sprite as soon as you reach the base of it, but if you want to do hills properly with sprites disappearing behind and reappearing in front of hills, then you're better off rasterizing as well. Fork that work project done. Yeah, they wanted very specific stuff, like they wanted day-night cycles and things like that. It was a bit funky. I wish I had it actually. It'd be a good one to show, but I don't, unfortunately. Yeah, so hills, you can do a hill just by compressing as you move up the screen, or stretching as you move up the screen, and you get the impression of a kind of a hill, you know, going down a hill like this, or going up a hill like this. And then you can do other tricks like splitting the road as well. So you'll see an outrun. Actually, they're not demonstrating in here. But I'll put a link to this in the chat. It's really good. It's a really good thing to read if you're interested in doing that sort of thing. And it's all kind of done with pseudocode, so you can port that to whatever you like. Actually, they show a really good example of the same effect used in Street Fighter. So the floor in Street Fighter was done in the same way, just a rasterized 3D floor. So as you moved left and right, these would kind of shift to the left and right. But you got that kind of feeling of perspective. It was quite good, quite clever. Okay, is that game loaded now? Let's have a look. Yep, apparently it has. I need to turn that boost off. Oh, I'm not keen on that font. That's okay. Oh, wow, how many times does this have to be compressed? So let me know if I've got the wrong version as well. I've just got the first one of CSDB. I didn't really pay any attention to what I was getting. Okay, so let's take a look at... I'm not going to turn the Vic on yet. I'm just going to look and see if we can figure out how this might be done. So first thing I notice is there is a flicker on the horizon, so there's definitely a raster split here. So I'm guessing there's two different character modes or two different character sets. One for the horizon, which I'm guessing moves left and right as I move, or at least as I turn. Oh, and the split moves up and down if we move. Oh, so it has got hills in it. Okay. Oh, wow. Oh, right. I can see how they've done this. So my guess is that this is done with characters. Because of the way, when the road turned to the left and right, you can see here they become very broken at the edges. And I would expect that to be kind of how characters would handle it. They become less so down here. So this is probably just a solid background color. Oh, and I'm held as well. Hi Zork, welcome to the stream. Let's try continuing on that. So I'm thinking what they're doing, this is a solid background colour. Everything else that appears in this area is sprites. So this is probably a sprite. This is a sprite. The cars are sprites. And then the road is just a character set. So this will be, and it's a multicolor character set looking at that, because these, you'll notice the pixels here are quite wide. So there's probably a set of characters that make up the different curves and edges for the road. So let's have a look. Yeah, no bands. That's what made me think that maybe it was characters. Because normally with, I think Lotus Esprit did it, I think Turbo Outrun did it as well. They have the raster lines going across, and it's really obvious that they're using rasters to draw these bands going down the screen. But this looks like it's probably characters. So let's go and take a look in the. Okay, so yeah, it definitely does look like characters. It could even be a bitmap actually. I'm not sure. According to this, it's. So this area here will tell us what it is as we hover over it. So. Okay, so it is just multi. See here, it's multicolor text. So there will be a font for all of this. Now, whether that font's drawn dynamically or whether these are preset things, we can take a look in a minute. The background color is. Oh, the background color is black. In fact, that's interesting. No, red. Sorry. So the background color is this bit here, not. That's an interesting choice. How do I move that again? Yeah, background color is red. That's interesting. Even as I move down the screen, it's always red. So all this is characters. The horizon is characters as well. Okay, cool. Let's go and take a look at the character set then. Let's see what's going on in there, if I remember which button it is. Oh, man, I'm so bad with these buttons. It's... No. There we go. Oh, of course I'm in there now, aren't I? Why can't I see the... Oh, I'm not having a good day with this. Where's my character screen? There we go. Let's just put it on there, and then let's go and have a look in here. Wow, okay. So it looks like down here. Can I zoom in on that bit? Like, what is that? Where is that being pulled from? One glass. Hi, Barry. So they're definitely sprites for the cars. You can see them going around. So they've got a few different sprites depending on the zoom level. Actually, are they expanded at any point, or... Oh god, this isn't the easiest game to work with, that's for sure. Also, I'm having some kind of old man problem when it comes to controlling this at the moment. Yeah, so the main sprite looks like an expanded sprite. It looks stretched. You see it's rectangular, and the cars when they come in are also stretched, and then they get to kind of midway and then they turn into non-expanded sprites, and then they get zoomed down into the smaller versions of the sprites. You can see here we've got 3 or 4 different sizes of sprites. So this is quite interesting, because I would have expected there to be more raster stuff going on down here. So there's definitely some clever stuff going on with the character set. Let's try and play a little bit. Oh, and you see the roadside objects are sprites as well, which makes sense. If they're doing the road in characters, then and they didn't do these in sprites, then you would get kind of clash as they overlapped with the road area. So it kind of makes sense to do that. I'm kind of intrigued actually. I think it might be worth us taking a look at some other racing games as well. So we'll come back to this in a minute, and we'll try and do our usual and put some cheats in there, maybe infinite time, and check out how the collisions work and things. But I'm going to suggest we look at some other racing games to see if they're done in the same way, because I suspect that they're not. So I'm going to try and grab, if you guys have got any idea of what racing games to have a look at, if you stick it in chat and we'll have a look. I'm going to grab Lotus Esprit first, because that's the one. Is one of the last ones that was done. Lotus Esprit, was it? Lotus Esprit Turbo Challenge. There we go. Just get that one. Outrun, Power Drift, Supercycle, Boogie Boy. All right, we'll take a look at all of those. So let's try this one first. Did that actually download? No. Turbocharge. Turbocharge was one of the later ones, wasn't it? If I remember rightly. In fact, I think Martin Piper actually released the same code that was used for Turbocharge to his GitHub. I'm going to restart the debugger because it's been a bit strange. Which, if you're interested in looking at how a lot of these things were done back in the day, Martin Piper's GitHub is very, very good. He's got lots of stuff like this in, and I know I'm fairly sure he's got a road engine in there, and I think it's the Power Drift one. Sorry, not Power Drift, Turbocharge. What? Okay. Well, that's good, isn't it? That's not a very good, what kind of crack is that? Oh god, and now sometimes this debugger is frustrating. It's good, but it does get very frustrating at times. Did anyone play the original Outrun on the Commodore 64? Not Turbo Outrun, the original one. That game is probably the most jank racer I've played on the 64. It was awful. I didn't have high hopes when Turbo Outrun came out, but it absolutely knocked it out of the park in comparison. Oh, she doesn't have blonde hair. It's interesting. Okay, that version's not great. Let's grab a different game. So, what was the first suggestion? Let's have a look at the original Outrun. So, interestingly, when these games were done in the arcade, they had special hardware that was would take a triangular texture. And render that to the screen. Same method of rasterizing the road, but it would do it in. Let's grab that one. Just grabbing random ones here. It had special hardware that would read a texture that looked a lot like the image that we saw when we were looking at the. Lost it now. When we were looking at the document saying how these things were done. And then before that, the Atari 2600 did some games. I can't remember the name of the racer game now. There was a really good, very, very early racer game. And that used some amazing tricks to achieve the same effect. And I did wonder, oh god, this bloody debugger. I did wonder if any of the Commodore games did the same thing, because the Commodore has some quite similar traits to the Atari 2600, in that you can kind of redraw sprites down the screen. And we call it multiplexing on the Commodore 64. On the Atari 2600, it was the only way to do things. It was the only way you could get more than 2 things on the screen at a time. Oh my god. Oh, seriously? Why is it doing that? Wow. Night Driver? Yeah, it might have been Night Driver actually. I need less wine looking at this. That's also very slow at loading. See, the nice thing with the debugger is you can see how it's loading, so you can kind of do things to speed it up. It's very small. Okay. Joystick is on. I just remember this game being so bad. I wonder which version this is then. I'm guessing this would be the NTSC version as well. The specky version. Yeah, the specky version of most things was quite painful. I kind of was. So I started with the Spectrum before Commodore, and I was really happy with the games. And then I saw Commodore games, and I couldn't believe I was satisfied with the Spectrum games. I couldn't go back. Cool, so I can't actually start the game. Apparently the joystick settings don't do anything on. There's a swap joystick button. Ah, damn. There's my little manual. Sometimes there's like a swap joystick button. It's probably waiting for joystick import 1, which I'm not sure why the spacebar wouldn't work in that case. So control Y, use keyboard arrows as joystick. No. Wow, we're not. This is not going well, is it? Yeah, I can't seem to start this game at all. Okay, let's take a look at the next one then. This isn't working. Let's have a look at Hayes' suggestion with power drift. We will go back to Continental Circus in a minute. I'm not sure what that was because I've missed the... Oh, it's a follow. Thank you for the follow, ND Cube. I can hear the noises, but I can't actually see what's going on. Not had a good day today. Things have just gone wrong. From the moment I started OBS, I knew this was going to be a bad day. Okay, power drift is there, so let's grab the one on the top. Oh, so it was two different companies that did it. So they gave it to an American company to do the NTSC version, which I guess makes sense. That's kind of a unique thing, isn't it, for the 8-bit era, because of the NTSC and PAL differences and the fact that the games had to be coded completely differently in a lot of cases. That seems to have happened a lot more. I mean, that just doesn't happen now. Okay, so it's Power Drift, Activision. Activision used to be a good company as well. Their games were amazing. And they've just sold out now. They're just Call of Duty whores now. Well, and World of Warcraft, I guess, as well. Okay, cool. This seems to be working at least. So what was your guys' favorite? What were you lot's favorite racer on the 64? And I include any racer here as well. So for me, it was Slicks, the top-down kind of Codemasters racer. Hands down, the best racer on the 64, in my opinion. I was quite partial to LED Storm as well. But I think me and Mike got Hitch to play that a couple of weeks back, and he hated it. But I think that's just, he couldn't play it. Yeah, Stunt Car Racer was very good actually. Jeff Crammond was very good. I played his Formula 1 game on the Amiga quite a lot as well. What I found incredible with Stunt Car Racer is that you could actually play a game in 3D and it worked well. For me, that was just incredible. Okay, so again, this looks like a character road. You can see the edges of the road are quite rough. They probably roughed them up to make it easier to define the characters, and it kind of looks like, yeah, the tree. See, the trees are characters as well, because as they appear, they blank out the horizon. So let's have a look in here. Yep. So sure enough, this is all done with text. There's no bitmap. There doesn't appear to be any raster lines going on down here. Interesting font changes up there. It looks like the whole thing is done with characters. The only sprites are the actual player, who's made of 4 sprites. And the other cars as well. That's very interesting, because there's a lot of stuff going on there. That's kind of quite hard to draw in characters and kind of keep track of where everything is as well. So it seems like for the most part they followed the kind of the techniques for drawing the road, but beyond that they went on their own mission to do things like these, you know, stuff at the edges of the road. They didn't really follow how the arcade was doing, probably because they didn't have the power, probably because, you know, a 1 megahertz machine is not enough to do this. I can't tell if I'm doing poorly or really well. I think I'm doing poorly. Yeah, that tells me poor. Okay, so that's two that have done it that way. I really wanted to see Lotus Challenge because I'm pretty sure that uses a different way. Have a look at. Let's have a look at Boogie Boy. That's an interesting one. I remember that being very good. I never played Boogie Boy on the C64. I played it on the Atari ST, I think, mostly. One of the few games I did play on the Atari ST. Okay. So we'll check this one out, and then we'll go back to Continental Circus, and we'll try and add some stuff in. If you guys have got any ideas of what we should be adding to it, then do that. Oh, Chris Butler did Power Drift. Interesting. Oh, see, it was kind of a bribe. It's like you let me do Ninja Spirit, and I will do a racing game for you. See, I really like developers like that have the skills to be able to do different styles of game on demand. There aren't too many of them nowadays. The developers for the modern consoles tend to be specialists in particular areas, and even development studios as well. I mean, you see studios release games and they're basically the same game reskinned with a different story. They tend not to venture too far from what they're doing. I mean, take a look at what was the guys that did Age of Empires, Ensemble Studios. That's all they ever did was strategy games, and when they did do something outside of Age of Empires, they did Halo Wars, which was a strategy game set in the Halo universe. But we just don't get that kind of, you know, talented kind of developers that do multiple things anymore. Okay, is this just a splash, or is this what's going on here? Is it loading? Because I'm loading discs, I should be loading PRGs really. So for those who didn't hear at the end of the last stream, there's no Make a Game stream this Saturday. I've got family around, so I won't be doing one this Saturday. But in a way, that's kind of good because it gives me a bit of time to catch up on the write-ups, and we're kind of at the point where we need graphics as well. So did I want the music to be audible? Oh, you mean my SID music in the background? Is it not? Yeah, so I won't be doing one this weekend, but I will be using that time to catch up on the PDF. And if anybody wants to contribute to the graphics, it's probably a good time because we can sift through that all the stuff we've got and come up with some ideas for the levels. We've got a pretty good idea of the game concept now. I'm very excited by it as well. I'm looking forward to doing that. Okay. Why is it not letting me start? Oh, there we go. See, this looks like rasters, but then I don't understand how this would be green. But they look a lot smoother. The road looks way smoother. This is actually pretty good. Oh, I like this. Okay, let's take a look at this. Let's sort of see. Yes, so this is using a combination of characters and rasters. So you can see as I move down, the the red and white lines just flicker between red and white. So this is the red and white lines are holes in the background in the character set. So all this green and grey road is drawn with character set, and then there's just gaps, and into those gaps they do raster splits, and that's why the road looks very, very smooth. So as we move, the road looks a lot smoother, and that's because you can have single pixel precision on the road rasters, because they're not using characters to do them. So that's why you get that very, very smooth effect. You can actually see it if you look at the horizon. You can see the gap, you can see the holes, because you can see the sky through the holes, but they haven't yet started drawing the background. Yeah, this is really good. I like this. Oh, interesting. Wonder how they've done that tunnel. See if I can pause it as a tunnel comes up. Oh no! I mean, technically, this is very impressive. Very, very impressive. They've got Sprite Multiplexers going on here at the same time as they've got raster splits going down the road. They've got an interesting character set kind of builder for the road. It's technically it looks a very good game actually. But anyway, let's go back to Continental Circus, because that's what this stream is all about. So it looks like for the most part these games are using character sets for the road, and it's just about how they create that illusion of speed. Definitely out of those three, Boogie Boy looked the best, or 3 or 4 or whatever it was. And I think my choice would be to also use rasters to do the road, the bands on the road. It just makes sense though. It's exactly what you're trying to... Oh, for God's sake, this thing is not... exactly what you're trying to achieve is bands of red and white, so it makes sense to use the raster effect to do that. Personally, I would go a slightly different approach in that I would make the cars characters, and I would make the contents of the road sprites using multiplexing and shifting a sprite left and right as well, because then you can have the edges of the road very smooth as well. It would probably be a little bit more on the processor, but would work. I'd like to try a racing game at some point. I've always said we should have a good Mario Kart style game. The original SNES Mario Kart was very good, and I think it could be achieved with some trickery. Something similar, maybe not quite as good, but something similar to Mario Kart could be achieved on the Commodore. But I'm just so busy with other things at the moment. I've got what now 3 game projects on the go now, which I obviously want to finish first. I'm trying to make sound rewind at the moment. I don't know if you saw my post for Doc's Rewind. I'm trying to get music to actually sound like it's being played in reverse. Yeah, it would be great to see a new race on the 64, definitely. I think a Mario Kart style game could be possible. I'd need to do some experiments, but I definitely think it's possible. I'd certainly like to see it. Cool, right, we're here again. So let's do some cheats. Let's get some cheats in this game, because then we can make our life a little bit easier. So I guess the obvious one is the timer, right? Mode 7. Yeah, I think it is possible. If you look at some of the demos that have been coming out, there's a few cases where they've got very similar effects to Mode 7 going on, where they've got planes that they tilt, textured planes that they tilt and rotate. and I think you could probably use something like that effect with some kind of slight tweaks to make a Mario Kart style game. I'd have to look into how they did it, but yeah. Yeah, I was shocked actually, Hayes, at the feedback from that. It was just something I finally got working at lunchtime. I thought I'm going to post a video of that, and people were quite surprised by it. And the thing is that's still only 80% of what the rewind's going to be. The rewind will be a little bit faster. It's probably going to have a little bit more. I don't know if you've seen Microprose Soccer. It was something that actually came up a few times in the comments. But they've got like an interference band at the bottom. It looks like a VHS rewind. So I'd like to do that, and I'd like to get the music to rewind as well. Okay, let's do a memory dump. Let's grab this time value from here, so and see if we can find it in memory, so we can actually stop it. So we have got a sub time here, 58.9. Add wine bottles to track, which reverse controls. Yeah. I do chat a lot when I've had wine. Can't help it. I also look over here. Even though the camera's there, I look over here. I'm looking at the chat. I'm talking to the chat. Right, 58.9. So let's take a memory dump. I moved that. Memory. Done that to desktop. And then we'll do another, we'll restart the game, we'll take another memory dump. Pause. So we had 50, I need to get my pad for this, this is where it becomes important. Thank you for the follow, Nicolan. Welcome to the stream if you just joined. And if not, thank you for watching. Yeah. I've never actually noticed what you guys talk to when you stream. I think you talk to the camera actually. You do look directly at the camera. I don't, I'm talking to my chat window up there, which is kind of bad really. We're at 58.9 and we're looking at 52.6. Is you that was a fairly new one, wasn't it? I definitely enjoy the platformer style dissections. I think they work really well. So, oh wow! Thank you for the raid, Jambita. Nice to see you. Defend, guys, defend. Yeah, maybe I should move my chat to the other side. From actually, when I'm looking at chat, it looks like I'm looking at the camera, because otherwise I look like I'm looking off into space. So, okay, so we haven't quite taken 2 dumps yet. But hi everyone that came over in Jambita. We're currently looking at Continental Circus to see how it was done. It seems to be fairly standard compared to the other games we've looked at, and we're just about to see if we can put a time hack in there. What have you guys been doing tonight on Jan's channel? And again, I'm looking at the chat just while I save this memory snapshot out. And thank you for the host, Dom. Okay, so we've now got 2 snapshots. I tell you what, we do have to dissect at some point. Ghosts and Goblins. Both Dom and Hayes have played a lot of that, so we should probably look at that at some point. Thank you for the host, Dr. Miz, and Hayes as well. Thank you. And thank you for the follow, Jacob Westhoff. Welcome to the stream. So we're going to run this script that I wrote, I think it was last week, which allows us to compare two memory dumps. Can I make that bigger? I can make that bigger. Great. So we've loaded up Continental Circus into our debugger. Let me show you that. And we've taken two snapshots of the memory at different times. And now we're going to compare those two snapshots using a script I wrote in Node, which asks for two files. So we've put in the two memory snapshots. And we need to look for the values. So this is an interesting one because we'll start by looking in BCD. So we'll look for the values as separate numbers and see if they are there. So we had 58.9 seconds, and then we'll look for 52.6 seconds. No, that doesn't exist. Okay. And now we'll do the same thing again, but we'll check like maybe like this, and then we'll check again with just the 58 and 52, because I don't think that's going to be there either. No. Okay. For those interested, there is a link in my Discord. The link to my Discord is down there somewhere. Actually, it's across there. For this, if you go into the links and resources, I think I've added it in there for the paste bin that contains this script. I am thinking of writing this into a kind of a cross-platform front-end tool, so there's a bit of a GUI with it, so you can do similar things. I might get in contact with the guys at Samar Productions who make the C64 Debugger and ask of them for some features. I know they've been posting clips in their Facebook group of our reverse engineering streams, so it's obviously something that's on their radar, and I'm sure they'd like to see us do more with it. So maybe I'll contact them and get them to see if they can add that in. Yeah, so we'll check the non-hex versions of that now, as the Global Baker says. So you're a non-stream drinker as well, Jan. That's really good. Cheers. I'm not at work tomorrow, so I've been taking the opportunity to catch up on my wine drinking. Yeah, I'm not finding this value, are we? So I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to do a quick scan of 0 page just to see if we can see where that is. So this is 0 page here. So I can see there's a few values in purple here, which means they're being read and written to quite quickly. Oh wow. Hi Hitch, thank you for the raid. There's so many raids going on. Craziness. Oh, you have a day off as well, John, tomorrow? Yes. I've got my kids over this weekend, so I've taken Friday and Monday off. In all honesty, I thought it was a bank holiday this weekend, but it turns out it's just in Scotland, so... Thank you for the raid, Hitch. And welcome to the stream. Good to see you. Oh man, I can't keep up with all the alerts. And thank you for the follow, the Mollusk. Okay, so in the C64 debugger, we get these color backgrounds on memory addresses. So blue means it's being read. The memory address is just being read from. I think red means it's being written to, and purple means both is happening. So you can very quickly kind of look at a snapshot of an area of memory and see what's kind of active and what's not. More alerts equals more wine. Yeah, indeed. Nothing wrong with more wine. I'm actually going through this wine really quickly, guys, as well. Probably need to slow down a little bit. I don't have any more. I don't actually, do I? I think I do have more actually, so but I probably shouldn't drink more. So let's start the game and see if we can see any of these that kind of look like they might contain the counter. Okay, alright, there's a lot of stuff going on in there. So what do we know? We know that this is going to be being read, and it's also going to be being written to. So it's definitely going to be one of these purple things, if it is that one of these indeed. We know that 4.7 is to F. I don't see that anywhere. It could also be 478. It could be a 16-bit number, and it's just showing this in smaller values. Close up on wine bottle. It's one of my favourites. I think we had it a little while ago. It's a Chardonnay from Chile. It's very nice. Save some wine for the podcast. Oh yes, I will be drinking plenty of wine on the podcast, that's for sure. Thank you for the follow, Retro Tech Dan. Welcome to the stream. I'm really looking forward to that actually. It's going to be interesting. Yes, I had red wine on Saturday. I had the red wine version of it on Saturday. That was very nice as well, but it was very hard to drink. My problem with white wine is I can drink it like lemonade. It's a bit too easy to drink. Okay, so we've got 478 in there. Let's convert that into hex as it stands, just like that, and see what else. So that's 1DE. So can we see that anywhere in here? It would be in this block, I think, if it was going to be in 0 page, and it doesn't look like it is. So let's take 2 more snapshots, and this time we'll be 080 reverse BD. You dump the CIA type. Ah, that's a good point actually. We might be able to look at the CIA breakpoints. So we do have CIA in here. I'm not entirely sure how this works actually, so no, that's just a memory. I just want to delete that one. Yeah, so that's just a program counter, that's memory. So see what happens if I turn the CIA breakpoints on and restart. So it could be that the CIA gets fired at the end. I would find it unusual though if they were to create a CIA timer and some raster splits as well. I mean, it's not unheard of. Obviously, if you do it right, it can be very effective, but it can be tricky to get it spot on. I'm just wondering what happens if the time runs out. Does the CIA breakpoint fire? No, it doesn't fire, so I don't think it's using CIA timers. Let me store the time in memory. Yeah. Actually, do you know what we can do? A really easy way to do this. So the way we did it with Thrust, I think we did this with Armlight as well, is we can just backtrack from the time. And this we're kind of getting good at this. So let's go and do it this way. So we'll start the game and we'll pause it, and then we'll try and decode how that's being drawn to the screen. So. Wait till it starts. Okay, so if we look at this in the Vic screen, which I will get right eventually. So this is definitely being drawn as characters in this location. So let's just look for this one here. Let's not worry about this big section here. Let's just look at this because it's one single character. So our character set starts at 000, and this character itself is on the 4th row starting at 0, and God knows how many characters across that is. Can I see? Oh, it tells me down there. So 4th row 21. So put that in a calculator. Let's do it in hex. So it's 6,000 plus 4 times 28 plus 21. No, not 21. 15. Oh, damn it. 6,000 plus 4 times 28 plus 5, 60B5. So that we can look for quite easily. What was it again? 60B5. Okay, doesn't seem to be doing anything interesting. On 4. Yeah, that's definitely. So this down here next to the brake, you can see as I hover over an area, it tells me the position in pixel space. You see 320 to 200 as it should be, but also character space as well. So 39 by 25. And it's saying that that's at 21 and 4, but oh no, sorry, char set, so it's 4,400. I got it wrong. So it's 4,400 plus 4 times 28 plus 15, 44B5. Okay, that makes more sense. Oh my god. There we go. 8A23. So this is the routine that's actually drawing that number. So A8E88. So if we go to that location in memory, we get 92, and that, sure enough, there we go, 0592. So if I change that in there to 0999 and then restart, okay, it's not accepting. So anything above 5 it's ignoring by the looks of things, but we have found the location. So now we can look to see if this memory address is being decreased anywhere. And we get 8E88. We get a few locations, so let's have a look through the code for these locations. I'm going to ignore these ones for now. I'm going to start at this end and work my way backwards through it, because I just feel like that's probably going to give me some luck quicker. That's just loading it. That's also loading it. So this is the 2 digits that we're seeing here, 8 and 5, because one is and in the top digits, this bit, and this bit is and in the bottom digits. I need to turn my volume down, getting a bit of an echo. Sit back and listen to his talking. I've been told I do have a deep voice. Yeah, I'm very aware of that. I get told off for being noisy too much. That's my problem. I'm not being noisy, it's just how I talk. Just deal with it. Oh, there we go. Subtract 1. So this line here, 89E4, which I'm going to write down, looks like our counter, our countdown. E4. And you can see here it is using BCD because the decimal flag is being set here. We haven't touched on the decimal flag in our coding stream yet, but we'll we'll get around to it at some point. It's not hugely important, you can get by without it. It basically just tells the processor to look at these numbers when it's doing addition and subtraction as decimal rather than hexadecimal. It's actually called binary coded decimal, BCD, but we'll discuss that at some point. We don't really need to know too much about it now. All we need to really do is change this second value to 0, so it minuses nothing from the timer. So if I go into here, which is subtract E901, just E4. Wait, is that the right? Oh no, I'm in the wrong area. E90. There we go. So I just changed that to 0, and then restart. Oh, there we go. Got infinite time now. Cool. Now I feel like I could compete in this game. I feel like I could complete it. Have you actually completed this, Hayes? I do remember watching you stream it, but I don't think I saw you play it to the end. But I may have left the stream early for some reason. The problem is stopping the time doesn't make the other cars slow down, so I'm still in 100th place all the time. I have to press fire or anything to get faster. Yeah, we didn't really touch on the demo too much. We loaded it up for 15 minutes just to show how it worked, but nothing. We didn't really go into too much detail on it. It's actually very, very simple. Just a look on the net. So this is poke right 35301. Let's have a look. So we poked 89E5. So let's put that into here. 89E5. 35301. Yeah, so we've found exactly the same poke. So yeah, they're doing the same thing. Cool. I'm gonna take a quick 5-minute break while I have a cigarette and go to the toilet, and then we will find something else to hack. If you guys have got any ideas what else we can hack in here, let me know in chat and we'll have a go at looking at that. There doesn't seem an awful lot to actually hack around with in here. So if we can't think of anything, we can always try and load up another game and do the same in there as well. So be right back in 5 minutes, guys. Cool, I'm back. Right, I've decided I want to be in the high score table, although I can't actually die now, so I don't know how that's going to happen. We'd have to turn the hack off. So what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to find where the score is. I'm going to change the score so that I get the high score, and then I'm going to turn the hack off. Yeah, I need to set my music levels. That better? There we go. Let's catch up with chat a little bit if you guys had any extra ideas. Go faster, that's not a bad idea actually. Yeah, let's try and do that first actually. Let's see if there is a top speed and if we can alter that. Yeah, it's not been bad actually here today. It's been quite warm. It's the frustrating thing with England is when it gets warm, it tends to be really humid as well, because we're used to wet weather. So when it gets hot, it gets really horrible, and the tube is terrible. Okay, so it looks like our maximum speed is 201. So let's find out where we grab that speed. So we'll do the same again. We'll start by just looking for this speed. So we'll use our memory snapshot tool to do that. So we just take a dump of the memory. Yep, I'll replace it. Then I'll slow down a little bit and make a note of what speed that was. Was it 201? 201. I'll let it slow down a bit. 147. Take another memory snapshot. Southeastern US. So whereabouts southeastern US is that? I guess that's kind of Florida way, right? I must admit, I've been to Florida once and it was far too humid for my liking. It was insane. You had 30-degree heat all day and then in crazy thunderstorms. Yeah, and it was very, very humid. Not for me at all. I like a nice dry heat. Oh, North Carolina's a bit higher, but yeah, I imagine it's still quite bumpy, as you say. I wonder if we could hack the controls on Last V8 to make it playable. I've never actually played Last V8, so maybe we'll load that up in a minute. I just want to see if we can hack this top speed. So let's go to our script and see if we can find those speeds. So we've got 201, which is C9 in hex. And then we slow down to 148, which is... oh god, that's harder to work out in my head. 95, I think. I'm gonna have to check that actually. 95, oops. 95, no, 93. Yeah, 93, okay. Just check that my C9 was correct as well. Yeah, so my C9 was correct. Was it really that bad? Okay, we'll have to try that out in a minute then. I've never actually seen Last V8. I don't think anyway. Okay, so that value is not being stored as hex, so let's try again with BCD. And knowing what we know from the first one, let's type it in big endian format, like so. What was it, 1470147? Okay, nothing there as well. So again, we'll do this the old school way. We'll go and have a look at the VIC registers. Sorry, not the VIC register, the screen registers. So column 9, row 4, 4400. So 400 plus 4 times 28. What was it again? 9. Plus 9. Oops. Plus. Damn it. Plus 9. There we go. 44A9. And again, we've got some locations up in the higher area of this page. 8965, which is kind of here. Okay, so let's jump to that. 8964. So it looks like this is 44A9. So 44A9 is this 7 here. It's adding quite a large number to it, so I'm not sure what's going on here. There is definitely some A7 would be this one, so something around here is going to be our speed value. So interestingly, there's some 0 page addresses here. We've got an increment and a store, so let's go and have a look at those. Got this value here, which does seem to be flickering, but it doesn't seem to be related. You down to what? Because you're out of alcohol? Yeah, I'm running kind of low on wine. I'm trying to take my time a little bit with it. I think, Hayes, you should play it on your next stream, and then I can see somebody else play it, so I know how bad it is. Yeah, because I mean, it's hard enough for me to play games anyway, and to play them, to play them through the debugger is impossible. Yeah, is it that bad? Okay, let's have a look at some. So this area here does seem to be doing something with speed, but I'm not entirely sure what. Oh, actually, we've got these two values here. 1760, 1761, which seem to be right into these two areas here. These are flickering a lot, so I don't think it's these. But let's have a look at 1760, 1761. So that's these two values here. So let's see what happens. Oh, yeah. It looks like that could be our speed, top speed. C9. Yep, sure enough. But why we didn't find that before, I don't know. What did I have? I had C9 147. Okay. 1760. So we know that that is our speed. 1760 is our speed. If I put an 01 in there. Oh, there we go. What happens if I put an 02 in there? Oh, interesting. So I went up to 400. Okay. So interestingly, even though our top speed is 201, which fits into this single byte here, 1760, it is actually taken into account. So the program has obviously left the room for you to go faster with this extra byte here, because it is using it. So if I slow down to 0, and then I change this byte, which is always 0 at the moment, I change it to like F, you'll see my speed. In fact, it doesn't even know how to register that speed. It's getting very confused by it. I'm going up Q. Yeah. So there seems to be a point at which he just no longer can register the speed I'm going at. So I think if I can get this value to stay at 0, 1, then I will be maxed out. So I'm going to have a look for 1760 and see if there is some comparison somewhere. Okay, there's a few places that's being used. Let's have a look up here, because this has been kind of where most of the code has been at the moment. It may be that there's a top speed stored around somewhere as well. So we can see if there's a comparison between that value and a top speed value. 299, there we go. So it doesn't seem to be anything here. This is just doing what we saw before. It's just loading the speed. This is probably what's drawing it on the screen. There doesn't seem to be any comparison around here. This is just slowing us down. Let's subtract 0 there and subtract 64 there. I think this might be breaking. I think if we break, we probably break quite quickly. Good night, Shrapnel. Thank you for joining the stream. Let's have a look. So if I accelerate and brake really quickly. No, it's not. So this subtraction here, probably not what I think it is. Not braking. So let's have a look at these other areas then. 3F19, okay. Oops. There's a comparison again with 64 here. But again, this seems to be related to the sound. So if we see an address that starts with D4, that's usually to do with the SID. In fact, it is to do with the SID chip. So it could be that this is kind of setting the engine noise based on the speed. I'm not entirely sure how it sounds, so I've got my sound turned off on the debugger because it just gets frustrating. but I imagine that this block of code is what's working out. Probably somewhere down here it writes to those. Yeah, see, it's writing to this D4 addresses again. So it's working out how fast you're going in. It's changing the pitch of the engine noise based on your speed. So it's not that area. Let's check 1A FE. So this is, again, there doesn't seem to be there has to be something somewhere which is doing a comparison on that top speed. So let's find out where that is. It's got to be here somewhere. And this is loading those values in again. Doesn't seem to be a comparison there. Because what we can do is, if this doesn't work, we can just fix that value here so that we start at maximum speed, actually slightly above maximum. Thank you for the bits, Hayes, with the pride flag as well. Thank you very much. It's very much appreciated, and it all goes towards more wine. I wonder what my record is going to be on these streams. My record so far is 2 bottles on one of the last streams. I think anything beyond that, and I can't focus. My math skills are quite terrible after 2 bottles of wine, as I found out. Let's have a look. 133C. Again, there isn't any real comparison. There's a comparison to 50 here. Comparison to 28, but nothing that's actually increasing the speed. It would be interesting to see if we could find an ad there as well. And thank you for the bits, Dom, as well. I will have a sip here as well. Cheers, guys. I need to see you guys drink more on stream. Hayes drinks a lot of tea. Maybe you need to drink more alcoholic tea. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be a Sprite Multiplexer in this game. Actually, no, there must be, because these are being drawn. Right, let's have a look. Let's quickly have a look. So if I go down here, then anything we see on here, if it's multiplexing, it won't match on here. There'll be things missing. So let's get some background stuff going by. Once we get a few cars on the screen and some objects as well. See, there we go, we've got 4 objects. No, that matches as well. I don't think they're using a Sprite Multiplexer. I think they're just very clever with their use of sprites. They've probably worked this out in such a way that you will never end up with more than 7 additional objects as well as your car on the screen. Yeah, there we go. We've got. No, see, it's. Yeah, I think they've been really clever with it. Well, it's not even clever. It's careful planning, really. I can see 3, 4 cars, 3 roadside objects, and the main car. Yeah. Usually I'm a non-alcoholic beers one. Well, I get a bit tipsy. Yeah, I must admit I'm getting quite wasted on stream more often than I should, really. But it's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's really interesting trying to code when you're drunk as well. I actually find my logical thought is better when I'm drunk. My maths isn't so great. But my kind of reasoning is pretty decent when I've had a drink, more so than when I've not. So I can't explain that. It's really strange, but yeah, it seems to work. Not sure why. Okay, let's go back and have a look at these last few addresses. See if we can find this speed. So what we're looking for is something that increases our speed. So we're looking for anything that adds to those values in 1760, 1761. If we can find those, then there's probably a comparison nearby, which is setting, which is just capping our speed at that value. Something is capping it at C9. Yes, we can. Yeah, let's do it that way. Actually, that's an interesting way to do it. So, given a value, so we know 1760 is a value that's been changed. We can go into here, and in here we can type the memory address, and then if we just do less than or equal to FF, then anytime memory is written to that address, it will change. Now the problem is that's gonna break every single iteration that uses that. That's fine because we kind of want that. So you just press space in here, and then actually that's not, it's kind of breaking slightly after it. Because I'm not seeing it in this list here. Check the breakpoints again. 1760. Yeah. Interesting. Because this is implying it's writing it here, but it's not. If we go to that address, what was it? 69EF. Yeah, you see, this is not what we're seeing in those locations. The Y is at 1E, so that would be round here somewhere. Oh, actually, that could be. No, it's BD. BD. Oh, interesting. So it could be 69EF is also our speed. 69EF plus 1E. I'll tell when I've had a drink because I start to kind of hum to myself. Yeah, that's the comma Y. So the comma Y is pointing to here, this BD. So we're going to keep an eye on this and see if that BD matches our speed on here. Interestingly, this hasn't updated yet with the new speed. So let's just turn that breakpoint off temporarily. Turn the CIA breakpoints off because we don't need that. And just accelerate a bit. So 81. Yeah, that's not updated there, so I don't think that's an accurate location for it. Whereas the value here is indeed 81. So actually it's 85, but I think it will. If we let it. Yeah, it's kind of matching. I mean, it's a little bit behind because obviously this value is changing before it gets a chance to update on the screen. Isn't it breaking because the condition is already true? No, so what happens with memory breaks is if that value is written to with a value that matches this condition, then it will break. It doesn't break just because that value is there. Yeah, there's a lot of storing at that 0 page address, isn't there? So let's go and have a look what's going on there. So this is the 0 page address that's been referenced an awful lot. So if we just let it, turn that breakpoint off again. We just let it slow down to 0. You see, it's not. There's still a lot more going on in there. It's like these. I think these might be our temporary variables. You know, so for those that have been following the game development stream, one thing game developers tend to do is they tend to create temporary variables in 0 page space because we've only got 3 registers on the 6510, the accumulator and the X and Y. There's often a need to kind of have more storage for those values. Storing them to a 16-bit page, you know, anything from 100 onwards, takes an extra cycle than if you were to store it in 0 page. So quite often developers will create a kind of list of temporary variables that will be used in 0 page for just that purpose, and we've done that in the game stream, and I suspect that's what this block is here. This is probably temporary variables that are being used by these routines. So what we'll find if we go back to one of these routines, let's go back to 892A in there. So these values have been loaded and then stored, probably because the accumulator is being used and they want to save X and Y. Maybe they're trying to protect X and Y from being destroyed, so need to hit bed. Good night, Dom. Thanks for joining the stream. It's been less productive this time, but it's been interesting. I really do enjoy these game dissection streams. Sometimes they kind of quite productive. Like the creatures one, I thought was very, very productive. We got a lot done. Sometimes less so. There's really not an awful lot to hack in these racing games. But yeah, finding a way to lock the top speed would be very nice. So yeah, anyway, good night. And I'm sure to catch up with your stream at some point. I've actually struggled a little bit to keep up with the Commodore streamers. I've had a very busy week this week. Shannon, I'm going to say this for every Dissect stream, but when you get a chance, change the blue sky to black. Alright, well, we'll do that in a minute. That's a good idea. I think that's always good to... It's an easy one to show how we search for memory addresses, so... okay, let's start at the beginning of this list. Maybe I was naive thinking it wouldn't be. Okay, so... Again, there's these values, 8687, that's these values here. I do think these are temporary variables. You can see they're changing constantly. And so we know 1760 and 1761 is our speed. They're being stored in 80 and 81, but look, our speed is at 0. So if they were just used for speed, these values would be at 0 now, and they're not. They're flickering around all over the place. So I'm pretty sure they're being used in here to spare destroying the contents of the X and Y register. There's probably something else going on with the X and Y register. Okay, thanks Hitch. I have to catch up with you on VR at some point. I've not seen you play that yet, and I'm quite intrigued. Have you got any horror games on VR? I'd like to see you play a horror game on VR. Knowing what you're like just playing Doom without VR and with sub sounds, that would be very interesting to see. And again, I'm talking to the chat panel and not the camera. I will get used to that at some point. Horror that I wanted. Yes, if you do a horror stream on VR, that I have to know about. I have to watch that. I think it would be hilarious. See you later, Hitch. Okay, so we're not finding anything that's actually doing. Like when I accelerate, what's happening? I'm going up. When I first start, I'm definitely going up 1 kilometer an hour at a time. See there, if I just tap it, 1, 1, 2, 3. So there's definitely going to be an add that's around these values somewhere. Let's go through these from the beginning. So we've checked this one, it wasn't there. 1AA 4. So we've got another speed here. It doesn't seem to be any addition around here. This is interesting. We've got to compare to C3. C9 is our maximum speed. This is the closest we've come to comparing to it. So I'm actually going to change that value. I'm going to change that to. If I can actually get in there. There you go. Compare. And change it to F0. See what happens, see if that increases our top speed a little bit. No, so it's not that, so I'm going to put that back. I've learned that I can't just randomly change pieces of code. Oh, not what I wanted. Oh, damn it. Where was it? There it is. C3. Yes, please drop a link, definitely. A clip for me. Okay. Yeah, Hayes was playing. Oh, okay. I'm gonna have a look at this. Hayes was playing Doom a few days back, and it was it's probably about 2 weeks back, and my god, it was amazing. We kept trolling him with the sub sounds. Let me put some. What game was that then? What game was that, Hitch? Because that looks amazing. Do they lie? Okay, I'm gonna make a note of that because I really liked the fact that when you streamed Doom, basically we spent the entire time finding which sounds would make you jump. Which of your sub sounds would make you jump, and we did a good job of it as well. B18. Oh, thank you, Colt. See, Colt's on board. Yeah, that was the next one in the list, actually. Okay, yeah. So we've got a subtraction going on here. So I wonder if that's to do with. Oh god, I keep doing that. I've got to stop doing that. That's the wrong one. I wonder if this is what's slowing us down. I wonder if this is what our braking is. So if I set that to 0, and then try and brake, I can't really tell. What was that value? I need to put that value back. I don't want to break anything if I can help it. It was 1.4, wasn't it? There's also one around here somewhere. No, that was the comparison. B1F. That's where it's storing the value. So interestingly, this line is decreasing the value in 1761. And if it's more, if it's positive, it's skipping over this section. Otherwise, it's setting the speed. This is what's resetting our speed to 0. So this, when we decelerate, this is what's making sure we don't go below 0. So I think if we change this value in here, and instead of decreasing it, we just load it. So if I just do load 1761 like that, and then I go to 1761 in here and change that to 01. No, it still decreases 1760. So let's see if we can find a decrease of 1760. Implement reverse. Yeah. Let me bring up the opcode list. Just so you guys know as well, and I know Acmafin will like this, I really want to mess around with Airwolf at some point. I know Airwolf is a pretty hideous game, but I think we can turn it into something much more interesting. So if no one objects, I think on the next stream we might take a look at Airwolf and see if we can turn it into something a little bit more interesting. I'm not sure how we will do that, but I'm sure we can find a way. Yeah, Airwolf needs to be done just to put it to rest, if nothing else. Yeah, exactly. Okay, CE. So let's have a look for decrease 6817. Okay, that isn't there. What about if we look for this sequence. So we'll look for all cases where we're loading the value from 1760. So see how we've got load, set, carry bit, and subtract. We'll look for that sequence. 6017 38E9. Well, I mean, that's rubbish. I can see it there. That definitely exists. Actually, it helps if I put the upper address in as well. There we go. So apparently that's the only place that that is actually done with the set carry bit before it. So let's take the set carry off. Okay. Unsubbed. You know you want to see it, Hayes. We'll change. First thing we'll do is we'll just turn the gravity off, and then we can complete it really quickly and easily. Make the music louder, press fire to win, things like that. I do like the when we do these streams when Hayes does the little playthrough beforehand as well. I do like those. Although I wouldn't expect you to play Airwolf. But we should probably collaborate a little bit more on getting those kind of things synced up, because I think it's really nice to see the game being played. Actually, that could be one thing we look into, is the collision using the Vic collision, which I suspect it is in Airwolf because it's a black background. And it would be kind of interesting to see if we just make the sprite smaller, will it work? Yeah. Have we done Creatures too? No, we did Creatures last week, and it was very good actually. I would like to do Creatures 2 again. Sorry, again. I'd like to do Creatures 2 at some point. But we have done 2 Thalamus games already, so we're probably just gonna hold off a little bit before we do another one from them. Mayhem in Monsterland's another one I'd like to look at some point, because I want people to see how that game actually works. And you'll see from those who saw the Creatures Dissect last week, you'll see that actually Mayhem is basically just Creatures. That they've tweaked things a little bit in, but it is essentially just the Creatures engine. And you'll see that. That's one of the first games I dissected when I got this debugger working. Okay, let's have a look at some more memory addresses. We're not having much luck finding this top speed. We know that these are definitely something. They're definitely the speed. If I set this value, we definitely move quick. You know, I go up to beyond top speed. If I set that to 02, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going quicker than I should be doing. But finding out where that speed is decreased is quite difficult. Let's have a look at some more addresses. So OC1A around here. You see, interestingly, it's loading the values from those areas and storing them in there. Increase 81. Oh, I didn't see that. Oh yeah, they do. Ah. Also, what's going on there? I seem to have hit some kind of... So, right. So at the moment we've got 8 sprites on the screen. We've got 3 trees on each side of the road, 1 enemy car, one opponent car, and 1 main car. So, and yeah. So the car sprites take priority, and the sprites at the edge of the road get turned off if more appear. Yeah, Sam's Journey is a very good one. Actually, Sam's Journey is the game I probably dissected the most, because I used that a lot to figure out how to do the scrolling in dock, and I owe a lot to Chester for writing such good efficient code, because without that game I wouldn't have dock doing what it's doing. So it's it's definitely a game we should look into. I would be cheating a little bit because I have looked at that a lot, that game. I know kind of exactly how it works. Saying that, I'm still not able to replicate the same scrolling that they've got. They've got an incredible scroller. It scrolls one more line than my scroller scrolls. It does so, I think, a bit smoother than mine as well. Yeah, it's an incredible game. We should definitely do that at some point. Okay, where are we at? Do you know what? I'm going to take a little break from trying to fix the top speed. I'm going to change this background colour. I think the 8-way scrolling in Sam's Journey as well it's not actually 8-way scrolling. I think it's free scrolling. I think they do some trickery where they allow you to scroll not quite on diagonals, like a kind of not 45-degree, 90-degree angles, but actually kind of in between as well. And that's something I just wasn't able to achieve. Early in bed. What time is it? Where are you from, Luminous Monkey? You must be kind of Australia way then, I guess. It's early morning. Australia, Asia, kind of. Let's have a look for the background colour. It's AAD. Oops. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted. ABC. That's black, that's not interesting. Western Australia. Ah, okay, cool. Yeah, my sister lives in Western Australia as well. She lives near, I think it's called Ocean City or something. It's near Perth, I believe. Best to confirm that. Yeah, I think it is definitely not just a straightforward 8-way scroller. They're doing some trickery to kind of scroll in like less than 45-degree angles, which is really good. I mean, it's hard to do that and maintain a fast full color scroll as well. Also, their use of color is amazing. The artist on that, I can't remember the name of the artist actually, but the artist that did the graphics for that is incredible. Some of the way that they've done the backgrounds and the way that they're formed is really, really good use of multicolor. Yeah, it's very impressive. Sorry, I'm getting very, very sidetracked. This is the wine, so 81CB. So we've got this blue colour that's stored in the border. I'm going to put a breakpoint there and see if it actually gets hit. I don't think it's going to. No, it's not. I think this is to do with the main title screen. But as soon as we can never die. Maybe it scrolls over 2 and up 1. So the thing with the thing with the 8-way scrollers is when you're scrolling in both directions, you need to be able to predict where the next shift is going to happen. So because you can only scroll the screen in one 8 pixels in total in horizontal and vertical directions, you need to be able to predict what the next screen is going to be, what the next shift is going to be, so that you can double buffer it and get it ready to draw. So if you are going on exact axes or diagonals, so if you're going exactly 8 pixels left or 8 pixels right or vertical or both at the same time, it's very easy to predict. The moment you start allowing the player to kind of do 1 pixel vertical while 4 pixels to the right and then be able to change direction, that becomes very unpredictable, and it becomes very hard to kind of set that up in a way that you can double buffer properly. Thank you for the follow, Lazarus. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, it's very clever what they're doing. One of the reasons they've got inertia on the character is because of that reason. So by putting inertia on the character, what you allow the scroller to do is continue in one direction until the inertia takes over. As long as you can scroll into the next buffer, then you can change direction once you're in the next buffer. And so the inertia allows you to do that. And I think that's why they've got inertia in there. It allows them to kind of to continue the scrolling in one direction until it's crossed that 8 pixel boundary, and then they can kick in the new direction. Turrican 2 doesn't do it. Turrican 2 is an 8-way scroller, same as Doc. Turrican 2 is the other game that I've dissected a lot to work out how it works. The impressive thing with Turrican 2 is more that they've got the multiplexer that they've got in there. If you get to a busy area of Turrican 2, you can have 30 sprites on the screen while scrolling in full colour on 19 rows, which is an incredible feat. I mean, it's an incredible feat of optimization to be able to do that and maintain that colour scroll the way that they do. Again, I'm getting distracted. Let me try and find these values. 1A, 3. So one thing that you can do with Gmod cart, as Hayes says, is you can put your code into a bank on the Gmod cart. So even though you've only got 64K, what a cartridge allows you to do is swap out 8K of that memory almost instantly. So what you can do is you can create a routine with no loops, a completely unrolled loop. So instead of kind of repeating the same thing in a loop, you just unroll that code, so it's just one long block of code. And it becomes a lot faster, but it takes a lot more memory up. So what cartridges allow you to do is allow you to very quickly swap in a block of code specifically for the direction you're scrolling in, and allow you to do that in like half the time it takes to 1A33, 1A52 is what I want. 1A52 red. I reckon I'll change the colour of the road if I change that. Yeah, there we go. So this value here changes the colour of here because we looked at the background colour, and the background colour was red, which is these gaps here. So changing this colour changes those. Luftrauser is just very, very good game design. One thing I think Paul is very good at is not necessarily needing all the tricks. He is an excellent game designer. He knows how to take the limitations of the Commodore and not need to force them. He uses clever use of palettes and clever use of sprites and characters to create stuff that looks like it's using tons of crazy tricks, and actually it's not. He's just an excellent game designer. He knows how to get the best out of the hardware without having to push it too much, and that allows him to do things like Luftrauser and Microhexagon because he's not using these tricks which eat cycle time. It allows him to do other things. It allows him to create extra stuff. I'm really interested to see Spelunky actually, because he's done the same again. He's created an 8-way scroller. I don't think it's full color looking at it. And because it's not full colour, he's got loads of time to do other stuff in it. And Spelunky needs lots of time to do other stuff. There's lots of stuff going on in that game. Yeah, I really admire that guy, I really do. I kind of aspire to be a bit like that. I think game design is more important than being able to do the trickery as well. The trickery is nice. The trickery is what makes the games look like their kind of console counterparts, the NES and the SNES, and makes them look 16-bit in the case of Sam's Journey. But it's the game design that really, really stands out in some games. I mean, if you look at a game like Iridium, for instance, I mean, that game was written in the mid-80s. The trickery is very slight in there. There's not a lot in there. I mean, it's a very fast scroller, but there's really not an awful lot going on. It's a single colour scroller. It's only horizontal, there's no vertical scrolling there. It's just really, really good game design. Very, very good game design. Okay, so we found that. I'm trying to find the sky colour, because this bit up here, so let's just double check. Yeah, so the sky is definitely being changed up there. So we can actually do that with the breakpoints, the memory breakpoints. So let's change this to D021. And then start the game. I'm not entirely sure these breakpoints work properly, you know, because they seem to be breaking in weird places. I actually have a good feeling about our game. I think our little arcade platformer is going to be really nice. I'm glad that the vote kind of just about hung on to the Absorb. I think if it had just been a hit and kill, it would have been like every other single screen arcade game out there. But I think we've actually got a relatively unique concept, so it should be interesting. And if we can make it as fun as games like Bubble Bob and Parasol Stars in 2 players, then we're onto a winner there. Yeah, that breakpoint isn't working. Let's turn that off. Let's just do this the old-fashioned way. Okay. I can't remember where we started now, so let's just go through them all. So sets it to black, so it's not that. Sets it to black as well. Five is green. I don't see any green being set there. What's going on with Flubits? Yeah, so after some investigation with yourself actually, Steps, and I think it was Andy as well, we discovered that what Flubits was doing with binary files is it was trying to read them as text. So whenever it came across the byte 0D, which is 13, on Windows that is a new line. But what Flubits was doing was converting that to the Unicode new line, which is ODOA. So it was adding loads of extra bytes and basically corrupting binary data. So I think we're probably going to drop that. And instead we're going to use a cloud solution instead. So we're probably going to use something like Google Drive, where you will basically create a folder, you will sync it, and then anytime I press save, you will just get that folder will update. So it won't be, you won't get the live kind of update that you get with Flubits, where when I type you see it happening on your screen. But the fact that whenever I compile, it immediately saves everything anyway. Means as soon as I compile, you should be able to compile as well, and you should see the updates. And we will compile often. Yeah, Hayes, the changes we did on the last stream. So we started doing some character movement updates and collision, and we determined that it was actually Atmafin that mentioned something Zork was doing for his breakout game, where they were using fractional values for the movement speed and the movement position. So you could have fractional speeds. So we've added that in now as well towards the end of the stream. So what that means is now our player. So we're going to have a 2-player game. So 2 players spawn. There'll be 6 enemies on the screen. Every time you eat an enemy, you'll get a little bit fatter, and you'll slow down ever so slightly, meaning the person who's behind in kills will have an advantage because they'll be faster. Actions to win, yeah. Yeah, so that kind of adds a nice kind of catch-up mechanism where the person who's not doing quite as well will be a bit faster. And then the idea is at the end you'll press a pressure plate switch on the floor, which needs the weight of a player plus 6 enemies worth of eating to activate. So if it's 2 players and you've both eaten 3, then you both need to stand on the switch to activate the exit to the level. But there possibly will be an extra kind of twist in that when you both stand on the switch, one of you will eat the other one as a kind of victory, almost kind of victory celebration, if you like. And that will gain you some kind of king of the level status. If you've played 3D Mario World on the Wii, then you'll know that there's a crown in the game. Whoever gets the most points in a round gets a crown. It'll kind of be like that. You'll have some kind of status on the next level to say that you were the king of the last level. And that will be... It will be random, but it will be weighted on how well you did in that round. So if you did better than the other player, you've got a higher chance of being the one that eats the other player. Yes, I was thinking that Aqua thing as well. So I was talking to... I can't remember who it was now. I was talking to someone in Discord about adding a multiplexer in. And I realised we probably don't need it. All we needed to do is... If there's a requirement for the number of enemies on a level, you just have 6 spawn at a time. Anytime there's less than 6, you just respawn another enemy in until you've required enough. Because 6 enemies isn't going to be enough for some levels. But the sub-pixel movement's really nice because we can add things like kind of swampy ground, so that as you move over it, you slow down a little bit, or we're going to add it to the jump animation as well, so we can finally control the jump animation as well. So as you get fatter, you might not be able to jump quite as high. Yeah, I think it kind of makes sense. We might add a multiplexer, a very basic multiplexer to the intro, just to kind of explain how they work, because I think it is important for you guys to know how they work. It is actually very simple. The principle behind it is very simple. Actually implementing a general purpose one can be quite difficult, but okay, that's an interesting one. So just to go back on what I'm doing now, I'm just trying to find a way to change the background color. So this color up here, and I think this might be it here. So I'm going to set it to pink and see if that changes it. Oh no, wrong button. There we go. So the background color is 1A4E. What color do you want its steps? You pick a color. I'm going to go for a cigarette, and then we'll change it to that color, and figure out what we can do for the last hour or so. Right, be right back, guys. Find the button. Brought another little friend for you to see. I might have the cat last time. Here. And she doesn't like being picked up very much. Here, little baby. Yes, the little baby. The lovely little cat. Bit whiny though, you can probably hear her. A little whine, everybody. The whine. No? No, okay. It is like a cattery here. We've got 3. These are our latest. Oh, thank you for the bits, Andy. And good night as well. Sorry you've got work in the morning. You've got 6 cats, 3 dogs, and a hedgehog. And thank you for the bits, Hayes, as well. I think my BTTV emotes aren't working. Or I should be seeing a BTT emote there, but I'm not. There you go. Anyway, there's a black sky. So we didn't figure out how to get our speed constant. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hijack on the background change that we did, which was this one here, 1A4E. I'm going to find out where that was being written again, because I've completely forgot where it was. It's going to be 184B. There we go. 184B. Okay, so this is where the background is being set. So I'm gonna change these values, and I'm gonna make the sky probably go a little bit mental now. But what I'm gonna do in its place is create a top speed that's gonna be valid. Actually, 184E. So if I make the sky red and don't store it in this value here, so D022, I'm going to change this to be that. So now we're storing it in the upper value, and now if I change this to red, oops, it's not, yes, there we go, it's constantly locking me into that top speed, so it seems to have some problems with the higher speeds, but now I'm actually accelerating at a decent rate. Although interestingly, what happened there? Oh, I crossed the finishing line. Oh, okay. So I can get game over because I didn't qualify. They work on your overlay. Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't see the overlay because it's in. I'm looking at OBS rather than Twitch. Oh, maybe that's why, because I'm looking at the chat in OBS and not through Twitch, so that's probably why I can't see that. Makes sense. Oh, is this joystick to enter? No? Oh, yeah, it is. Ugh. I never understood why, when Commodore games did high scores, they used the joystick to input it. The Commodore has a keyboard. Just allow people to type. It's not difficult. I'm not sure why they do that at all. Oh, you see now it has got no clue what's going on because the speed is all over the show now. Actually, what it's done is it's reset. You can see here it's reset the sky to that colour. So the colour of our sky indicates our top speed. If I set it to white, we can't actually see the speed, but now our speed is consistently at like 300 and something kilometers an hour. Unfortunately, I can't see what rank I'm at, but I feel like I might actually succeed now. The problem is white is not the best colour to see everything else, so let's do it with red instead. The problem is now I'm going too fast to actually get back on the road. There we go. I mean, I'm not sure how the road is advancing, because my speed is at 600, but it seems to be slower. Yeah. I'm not sure there's an awful lot more we can do with this. I would like to have increased the top speed, but there doesn't seem to be an easy way to do that. Hear a cat scratching the door. She is. You're lovely, aren't you? You like to be picked up. There is one more cat, but there's absolutely no chance that you will let me pick him up. Show you it. That's a microphone, like that. Oh, don't you? Might be capped by low gear. This is one of the reasons I have 3 cats as well, because I live in a first floor flat. My cats don't go out, so instead they have lots of toys and climbing things and scratching posts, and we have 3 so that they can play together. Although they do seem to think that 3 o'clock in the morning is the playtime, and that the rest of the time when we're awake is their time to sleep. I wish they would be a little bit more in sync with our sleeping habits, but unfortunately not. I'm going to do one more thing, which is... got hairs in my mouth now. I'm going to try and get a top score, so we'll do that, and then we'll probably call it there, I think. Yeah, they are nocturnal. They can be a bit of a pain. I read a book once about cats and how they're kind of... it's kind of a comedy book about how they're always trying to kill you. They're basically trained killers, and they're everything they do is just based around learning to kill things and to prove to you that they can kill things. And one of the things it said was that at 3 o'clock in the morning a house becomes a racetrack, and it's just them training to make sure that they can get away. They bring, yeah, you've got those books as well. And they bring you dead birds and animals to show you that if they need to, they can kill, and they will. Yeah. Okay, right. Let's have a look and see if we can find the score. So let's do the same trick again. We'll go in here. We'll find where the score is actually written to, which is this location here. That's 13.3. We know the screen is at 4400, so we type 4400. Plus 13 plus 3 times 28, 28 being 40 in hexadecimal. We get 448B. Then we go to here. 8B44. Okay, that's probably because it's going to be on a loop, an index loop from this point here. So if we look at that. That's actually 7, so we need to take 6 off that value, which, oops, means that's not 8B, that's 8.5, no, 4. And one of these values is probably going to be our score, or it's going to be updating our score, so let's see if we can find that. So it's probably not that location. That just seems to, this just seems to be data of some kind, probably a map data or something. You can usually tell if something is map data because no matter how you kind of scroll up and down it in the thing, you don't get kind of readable. You get lots of breaks and code that doesn't make sense, and things like LAS, which is what's called an invalid, but a legal opcode. No, the book was, do you know what, give me a second, I will find the book. or not. Yeah, that's the one called How to Know Your Cat is Plotting to Kill You. Yeah. You're not VR when a little tipsy. Do you feel sick, Hitch? Which VR are you? You're using PSVR, aren't you? No, I don't mind. To be honest, there isn't an awful lot to look at in this game. Once we worked out how it was drawing it, which was pretty simple. I mean, we just go into here and we can see. No, there's really not a lot to do really. I think the Dissect streams probably don't work with wine. I think I've learnt that tonight. But it's you know, I don't do this just to kind of slave away, or well, it's not even slaving away. I enjoy it, but not to kind of particularly do one thing. I enjoy talking to you guys as well, so it's a nice opportunity to do that. Yeah, PSVR. I've not tried the PSVR yet. I had a Vive for a while, but I got rid of it because I wasn't using it. I used it for about 2 or 3 months or so, and then I kind of got bored of it really and just sold it. I think PSVR is probably slightly better. I mean, the resolution is probably not as good, but I think the game selection is probably a lot better. I really want to try Wipeout on PSVR. That to me is an amazing use of it, although I imagine that it makes me very sick. Yeah, the PSVR I think is the best value for money out of the VR systems, definitely. It's got the best game selection and it's not too expensive, and you can use it with, you know, a console that a lot of people have. It's not like you have to spend £1,500 on a PC to be able to play it. You can buy a £300 console and play on it. So I think you need the camera as well, don't you, with the PSVR? What about an instant win key? Well, we need to find the win condition to do that, I guess. What have we got? Well, I guess we could change the rank. I wonder if there's a way for us to change the rank and keep the rank at 1. That would be interesting. Thank you for the follow, Friso. Welcome to the stream. Not an awful lot happening, we're just kind of chatting more than anything else. So how does this game work? If you qualify, you go to a new track. See, having never played it, I don't actually know. So, oh, I've just loaded creatures. Oh, damn it. This is what happens with shortcuts. Okay, let's load that again. Creatures was a lot more productive. We got a lot more done in that. Even if what we did was bastardize it and turn it into a flashing nightmare. Just speed that up a bit. So the next stream is going to be next Thursday. It's going to be another Dissect stream. There's no Make a Game stream this weekend. I'm actually really looking forward to this weekend. So I've got my daughter and her new fiance coming down, and we're going to set up basically every machine I've got that will play games. So that's my PC, my Xbox, my Switch, my PlayStation, the Amiga, the Commodore, what else? Just basically everything I've got. We're going to set it all up on my big TV in the front room, and we're just going to play games for an entire weekend. It's going to be really good. I'm looking forward to it. I don't have any 60. I did have a SNES and I did have a Mega Drive, but I got rid of them because I was never using them. If I do play SNES and Mega Drive games, I'll do it through the Raspberry Pi now. I've got this Pandora box thing. I definitely advise people to get these, by the way. this honking great thing. So this is some Chinese kind of thing that comes with 2 arcade sticks. It is USB, so you can plug these arcade sticks into the PC or into a console and use it as a joystick for that. But it also comes with arcade emulation on it as well, so it's got lots of fighting games built in. They're pretty good actually. They're quite an interesting thing. So I'm going to set that up on the PC and on the Xbox this weekend, and use it for Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter as well. So we're gonna have some Street Fighter tournaments on that. It's a nice little piece of kit actually, and it was not that expensive really for what you get. And the great thing is it's a proper arcade stick as well, so you don't have to use it as the arcade thing. You can use it just for just as a joystick on the PC or PlayStation. And we're going to play some Forza as well on the steering wheel. So I've got force feedback steering wheel, which is really nice. And playing Forza on the PC on the big 75-inch TV is just the best thing ever. I definitely recommend that game. I'm hooked on it, to be honest. Again though, we're kind of going off track. We're not doing anything. Somebody mentioned, so Colt mentioned congratulations at 1698. So let's go and have a look at that. Is that the screen that's, so that could be a level skip, right? If we, oh, what's that? 698. That looks kind of 1698. Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure if it's, or are you saying that's the word congratulations? If I have a look in here, CONO. Oh yeah, you're right. That is the word congratulations. Yeah, it is. Okay, so interestingly, that's in ASCII as well, not in PETSCII. So they've actually taken the word congratulations in ASCII rather than PETSCII. So in PETSCII, the alphabet starts at 1. In ASCII, the alphabet starts at 65. Major lag. Is the sound lagging behind the picture? So I'm going to search for that. I'm going to see where that's actually put. See if we can find out. Oh, we do have some kind of routine that's using it. We load, and then we jump to this routine, which seems to be, I'm not sure what that's doing, but that routine looks like it might be, if we can find the entry point for this here, which looks like this bit, 167A, we can probably find, okay, 1696. Interesting. That looks like it's looping back though. I think he's jumping. Branch 161B, 1627. Just the chat to screen. Yeah, there always is a bit of buffering. It depends on the Twitch servers, I believe. It's, to be honest, it's why I have OBS open, because I can see the chat and I can respond to it a bit quicker. Otherwise, you have the delay of me seeing it on the stream, and then the delay of you hearing the response as well, and it would just be a bit too much. So let's try and jump into this routine, this 167A. Let's see what happens. So if I just pause, I put that in the, whoops, 167A. Oh, it's not letting me jump to there for some reason. Pretty sure I didn't press fire then, but no, it's not letting me jump there for some reason. Where is that entry point? So we've got this jump here. Just trying to find if there is some condition that jumps to that. There's no other condition around here, no jump. There's some indexed addressing, and this looks interesting. This looks like a screen clear of some kind. Yeah, it's decreasing X, so I'm imagining X is set to quite a high value up here somewhere. I know it's set to C, that's interesting. I'm not seeing any RTS anywhere. Oh, there's the RTS up there, so 1557, so let's try looking for that. Okay, so we've got two locations. EF8E, which is actually that one. Yeah, see, that's data again. So this area is definitely some kind of map data or track data. That looks more like it. 08A1. Where did that go? There it is. Okay, so it's reading this value 1772. Now we already established that 1760 was our speed, so it makes sense that this area is some kind of variable area around here, and it looks like 1772 is some kind of check to see if we've completed or not, and it's saying if it's equal, jump over this area, otherwise jump to this subroutine. Let's press start. Okay, so this is 1772. If I set that to 1, doesn't do anything. Let's try setting it to F, still doesn't do anything. Let's put a breakpoint in here, so we definitely get there. So we're loading that value in. If it's 0, we're skipping over this next bit. So if we put this in here, we should break at that point as well. Just start the game again. I've got more breakpoints in. I've only got that one breakpoint. Oh wait a minute, that's not the right breakpoint. I seem to have completely paused for some reason. Is that because of this value? Ah, what have I done? You see the red bar up here, this would imply that something's broke somewhere. 2A7F, let's some of that. Because this program counter isn't counting up, so... Yeah, there's a break there. Turn all the breakpoints off and restart. No, something is breaking here for some reason. Getting to this point and it's stopping. Ah, do you know what? I'm gonna have to reload again, I think. Actually, it's not even reloading properly. Something very odd has gone on with the debugger. Somebody needs to debug the debugger. I don't think it's quite ready yet. I mind you, it is version 0 point something, so maybe they realise it's not quite ready yet. Yeah, wrong window, I know. So I think for the next Dissect stream, we will probably take a look at Airwolf, just to get it out of the way, just to deal with the elephant in the room. Let's get it out of the way. Let's debug it. Let's see if we can find a way to make it playable. Has anybody here actually completed Airwolf? without cheats. And Airwolf too. Alright, I think you're pushing your luck there a little bit. That's the bottle of wine, last glass now. So I'm going to finish this glass and then call it a night. Yeah, I think we'll give it a try. It might be worth just starting by just reducing that sprite down. If we make that sprite like almost nothing, does that make the game easier? Is it using proper sprite box collision? And if so, will reducing it down to almost nothing make the game acceptable? Maybe we can find a way to put a different sprite in there. Hayes will play it 24/7. I doubt he will play it 24/7. You see, Hayes has played Thrust, and Thrust is a game that actually does gravity well. Take the balloons out, take the caves out, and it may be a game. Oh, you notice how the game is paused again? Oh, it was in demo mode, that's why. I've completely forgot what we were doing there. What were we doing? Oh, we were trying to find the game complete, that's right. So we'd found that had the congratulations, and then we were looking for where that led to. Okay. State 5, and oh, of course, yeah, we were trying to find the block of code where the root congratulations was triggered. It was up here somewhere, if I remember rightly. I don't remember at all, so I'm gonna have to. We were drinking wine. I don't think wine works with the debug streams. There's too much kind of. I tend to get too chatty when I've had wine, so I don't focus very well. Thanks for joining the stream, Jacob. I'm glad you found it interesting. This is we usually get a lot more done in terms of hacking. This has been more chatting than it has been anything else. Nice to see you. I hope you come again on 6-7A. Yeah, so that's where we're looking now. Actually, I can just go there, can't I? Oh, no, sorry, I'm looking for that. 4-7A-1-6. Okay, so 1696, that's just a branch in here. 627 is this bit here. That's right, we were looking from here, weren't we? And we found this area. 1557, that's it. Ah, right, yeah, so we had this value, that's right. We'd found a value here that seems to be being checked every frame. Actually, it's not. Oh, it's because I'm not actually in the game. If I start the game, we should immediately break at this point. So I'm going to actually break it at this point here. No, sorry, at this point. So, turn on my joystick. There we go. So nothing's happening, but then if I change this to FF, we should get a break. And we're not getting a break. And we're not getting a break there either. So this routine's not actually being reached. So maybe we can find out what's calling this routine. So we've got the jump to subroutine here. We've got a branch here which is jumping over that. I don't know what this 8E 8F is. Let's put that back to 00 and go and have a look what's in 8E 8F. So it's some kind of time. Oh, this is our time, isn't it? This is what we worked out before. So we know. Let's set our timer as well. What was it? 89E4. 89E4. No, it's 884. There we go. Yeah, so let's just give ourselves infinite time again. So this is what's doing some time comparison. I don't know why it's comparing to 7 here. Maybe when you get down to the last few seconds, it flashes red or something. I'd love to see that, Hitch. I'd love to see that. I always kind of got the impression you were a dev, and I'm glad that you were. I don't know why I had that impression. And then when you told me you were, and that you actually did BBC Micro, which is a machine that's kind of close to my heart. It's the machine I learned to program on, so it's kind of cool. I'd like to see some of the stuff you were doing at some point. BBC Micro is an amazing machine. It really is. It's just a shame it didn't have the kind of capabilities that the Commodore had in terms of the clever graphics and sound design. But the actual kind of as a learning tool for programming, absolutely incredible. I wouldn't be where I am today without a BBC Micro. I still have one somewhere. I should get it out at some point. I don't know if you guys saw as well, there was a Doom port done for the BBC Micro using a Raspberry Pi as a co-processor to handle all the Doom engine. Very, very impressive. And that's the kind of thing that made the BBC cool. It was so expandable, you could do so much with it. Sort of things we're only seeing now for the Commodore, with people like Jens and Gideon kind of doing things like the Turbo Camino and the Ultimate 64. Hi Cult of Rig, welcome to the stream. Good morning, so I'm probably another Australian, I would imagine. Welcome to the stream. It's late at night here. Very, very early morning. Yeah, it was my first experience of programming as well. So I started programming with a book on BBC Basic. And I mean, as far as BASIC goes, it's probably the best 8-bit BASIC out there. Oh, good. I'm glad you've been lurking for a while. Cool. I hope you've been enjoying the stream. This stream has been a little less productive than normal, thanks to the wine, and a game with honestly not very much to dissect in it. But yeah, I you know, the BBC Basic is what I started on. I read a book. I must have only been about 6 or 7, and I was completely hooked. I was like, wait a minute, I can make these things do what I want them to do. And just things like the multiple graphics modes. Like on Commodore, we have 2 or 3 graphics modes. Most people, are only probably going to use the high-res mode. And maybe the multicolor mode if they start touching assembly language. Things like bitmap mode and extended character mode are quite rare. I mean, they're not used very often. If they are, they're not used in games as such. They're used as kind of title screens and things. Whereas the BBC Micro had all these modes. You had modes that gave you 80 columns. You had modes that gave you loads of colors, and it was incredible. And then you had modes that were used to do teletext on TV. So it wasn't just that, it was a great machine. It was a familiar machine to anybody growing up in the 80s. If you ever played, was it Bamboozle on the teletext? That was powered by BBC Micro technology. So when you looked at it, you looked at what a BBC Micro could do, it was familiar. You recognised the colours, you recognised the kind of the resolution and the graphics. It was It was cool. They really had something with that machine. I wish they'd do something similar now. It was Bamboozle, wasn't it? It was the fast text. You used the colour buttons on your remote to answer questions. Yeah. Now, Microsoft Basic is where it's at, and I think Microsoft Basic, the full thing, is great. I think the Commodore implementation of it is bloody awful. It's really bad. I'm actually not doing any hacking here. I'm just badly playing while chatting away. So, but again, I think Commodore. If it hadn't have been for Commodore Basic, I wouldn't have learnt machine code. So I went from I used the BBC Micro at school to learn programming, and then I kind of pestered my parents, and my parents got me a Spectrum. I think it was a +3. It was the one with a disk drive. And I loved it. It was great. You know, I finally had something that I could type these programs in. It annoyed me that I had to learn a slightly different flavour of BASIC, but I had something that finally I could do it. And Spectrum was also a pretty good BASIC. You know, you could change colours with actual commands rather than poking memory. So it was great. And then I blew that up trying to wire a Scalextric card up to it. And my parents couldn't get a replacement for it, so Sinclair would be in a pain in replacing it, so they said, okay, screw that, we'll get him a Commodore. And I got a Commodore, and I was really upset at first because I was trying to use the basic, and I was like, well, this is rubbish. I want to change the colour of something, and there's no really a way, you know, real proper way to do that. And so I got frustrated with it. I learned how to do it in BASIC. I learned how to do sprites and how to change colours and things using pokes in BASIC, but it was an uncomfortable experience. And so I went off and learned assembly language because it was the only way I could really get the speed out of the system that I wanted. And once I did that, I fell in love. It was just the best thing ever. Yeah, so Sinclair Basic was brilliant. And the fact that they had the kind of auto type on the keys, it kind of made it easy to explore. You didn't really need the manual. You could just kind of look at the keyboard, and the keyboard had all the commands on it. You could see that, you know, on certain keys you had ink and print and stuff, so you knew what the commands were. You might not have known what they did straight away, but you could experiment with them a lot more. Commodore was all about, like, you had to know what the memory map was of the Commodore to even do BASIC, and that's not good at all. It's a shame that was the experience. Yeah, BBC Basic did have inline ASM, although at the time I didn't know that. I was just using, and you didn't really need it. I mean, BBC was good enough that you could write decent games in BASIC as well. Yeah, the auto commands on keys was amazing. You once you learnt them, you could really kind of go to town, and you could write stuff at incredible speeds. Okay, so I'm not really getting anywhere with this. I'm gonna go for a quick cigarette, and then I think we will. I might load some demos up for the last half an hour or something. I'm gonna load some demos up and show you some of my favourite C64 demos and how they do the tricks. It's something I've been wanting to do on this stream. I think it's probably a good opportunity to do it because this wine is not helping things. So we'll give it 5 minutes, and then I'm going to show you a couple of demos and how they work. Alright, so be right back, guys.